episode 8.
Number 8. You mentioned that when you started training and coaching and learning about exercise, one of your main reasons were Charles Poliquin and Westside Barbell, Louis Simmons. How important do you see having that kind of knowledge and information when you started, and how do you use those information knowledge nowadays?
Oh, the most important thing with having something like that to start with, it's basically like those guys are teaching you principles, right? And they're teaching you ideas, and they're giving you a philosophy and a system. Mm-hmm. That's the key. They're giving you their idea and their philosophy and their system to follow, or ideas of systems, mm-hmm. and then you just follow it, and you do the thing, and then obviously you try other things. Like I tried Paul Chek's stuff as well, and mm-hmm. some other, I don't know, any other T Nation articles that I really followed. It was mostly Charles Poliquin. Then it was Westside Barbell stuff, mm-hmm. both Dave Tate ideas with Elite FTS and Louis Simmons, and then like Paul Chek, and then after that it was my brother. Mm-hmm. But the main thing from each one of those people is that they had a system. That was mm-hmm. the main thing, mm-hmm. and you learned a system, and you learned prioritization, and you learned principles. Mm-hmm. So the main thing from that is that from not a concrete system, but a pretty rigid structure, mm-hmm. which made sense and was controlled. Mm-hmm. You created understanding, mm-hmm. right? You created understanding of what was happening and how to try to change things and manipulate things a bit. So for me, learning that stuff first, learning concrete ideas and concrete ways of like improving like strength of the triceps specifically, like the proper rep range, tempo prescriptions, the variation in loadings and the amount of volume that could be handled in their idea for the lower body versus upper body, the amount of variety that's required in upper body, lower body. Like they just had lots of really, really good stuff. But they had all those really interesting ideas, but they fit them into a system. That's the thing. And then when I came into CrossFit, it's chaos, right? It was chaos. But then I couldn't get away from my system. So I adapted my philosophy bit by bit to try to make sense of CrossFit too. And over the years, I've moved it around a little bit, but it's kind of like it's always been this big circle, but there's always been this middle point in which the circle has never left. It's always encapsulated this part. But there might be little areas moved left or right or up or down to try to fit with new ideas and new results that are in front of me, and new progression that I didn't account for. So then your philosophy and your idea has to adjust for that. So again, but it goes back to if I never had anything to start with or anything concrete to work from, I wouldn't be as good as I am now with designing training for a varied sport like CrossFit. I would not be near as good because I wouldn't be able to take in the erratic information and make sense of it. And for coaches that are just starting out, they have to learn a system. They have to have things in place, and they have to learn a system. Because unless you have some kind of philosophy that you're going to bounce all new information off, like everything you learn, you should be bouncing it off your own philosophy and your own ideas of your system and your methods of proven results or proven this works, I like this. All the information you take in should be bounced off that and referenced off this. If it makes sense with what you're doing, you might be able to mold it and work with it. If you totally don't agree with it, it's not going to work. But if you don't have anything if you don't have a system to work with or any ideal or beliefs, whatever information comes at you, you have no idea what to do with it. You have no reference point. You have no idea if it's useful, if it's not useful. And then you use it for a week and throw it out, and you use that for a week and throw it out, and it keeps on going like that. Whereas you're not moving this one thing forward, which ends up being your philosophy, your brand, and that's what differentiates you as a coach down the road. But it goes back to again having good mentors, having good education to start with, and being aware of what's in front of you, taking notes and watching things happen, and then being critical on what you're doing for training and your biases, and then trying to see if what you're biasing is useful, or if it's just for your own brain and for your own emotions to make yourself feel good. But it all goes back to the basics, and you got to start with something and build from that.
Nice, very nice, very, very helpful for all of people.
Good.
Thanks.